The Carolina Panthers failed Bryce Young. You see, earlier in the week, it was announced that Bryce Young would no longer be the starting quarterback for the worst team in the NFL, and instead, the reins would be handed to longtime veteran Andy Dalton, who, as far as backup QBs go in this league, he is considered one of the best. However, you have to remember, we're only in week 2 of the NFL season, and yet it feels like everything is falling apart for Carolina. You would think things couldn't get worse for the Panthers after an abysmal 2023 year. They go 2-15, they fire their first-year head coach halfway through the season, and they aren't even able to use their first overall pick because they traded it away a year prior. You would think that's as bad as it gets for the Panthers. You're dead wrong. Not only has the 2024 campaign been absolute hell for the organization, it's been even worse for Panthers fans. For starters, we have another first-year head coach, this time one in Dave Canales, who's got no experience at the position. The only player worth a damn on the roster, in Derek Brown, is out for the season with a knee injury, and in the 2 games that the Panthers have played so far, they've got outscored 73-13. And now, their supposed QB of the future, the one they drafted with the first overall pick only 2 years ago, is riding the bench after 18 starts. Yes, at the beginning of his second season, he is now being put on the bench, and who knows when the next time he sees the field is. Have we watched the last snaps Bryce Young ever takes in Carolina? More importantly, was that the last start in Bryce Young's NFL career? Well, to better understand his journey and story, let me take you back to his college football days, the reason he was drafted with the first overall pick. You see, Bryce Young is considered to have one of the greatest college careers from an Alabama quarterback. And if you know college football, you know that Alabama is one of the most storied programs in all of its history. Now, Alabama isn't known for being a quarterback factory. They don't pump out the best. However, that doesn't take away from what Bryce Young was able to accomplish. He started 27 games for them, and he ended up winning 24 of them. Now, Bryce Young was at Alabama for 3 years, but he really only started for 2. And his 2021 campaign is what put him on the map. He played in 15 games that year. He completed over 300 passes for 67% and had 4,872 passing yards for 47 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Those stats are the reason why Bryce Young would end up winning the Heisman Trophy in 2021. And if you want to go and list all the awards that Bryce Young has accomplished at his time in Alabama, well, it's pretty much endless, but let me just sum up some of his best. Sugar Bowl MVP 2022, Manning Award finalist, Maxwell Award winner in 2021, first team All-SEC in 2021, SEC Offensive Player of the Year in 2021. Those are just some of his biggest accomplishments as a quarterback for Alabama. And if we dip into his 2022 campaign, his second year with the program, it's not like his stats fall off by a major margin. He goes out, plays 12 games, has about 250 completions on 64%, and has 3,328 passing yards for 32 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. It's pretty much more of the same for Bryce Young. However, they didn't go as far in the playoffs, and that's why he only ended up playing in 12 games for Alabama in his junior season. Now, where does Bryce Young rank in Alabama's history? Well, he's first in Alabama's single-season passing yards with that 4,800-yard season, and he was first in Alabama's single-season passing touchdowns with 47. He's first in Alabama's career 5-touchdown games, had 5 of those. Second in Alabama's career passing yards with, 8,536, and second in Alabama career passing touchdowns with 80. Like I said, he is a legend at Alabama, one of Nick Saban's favorite quarterbacks. And after Bryce Young left the program, well, can you guess who followed a little after? Nick Saban, because he ended up retiring. Maybe he was going to retire eventually, but still, there has to be a correlation there. But anyway, I bring up Bryce Young's college football stats for a reason, to point out the fact that Bryce Young wasn't always looked at as a disappointment the same way he is in the NFL. And I know it is hard for QBs to make that transition from college to the pros. We see it time and time again every year, where this QB prospect is hyped up to extreme levels and just fails to reach expectations. However, in Bryce Young's situation, I don't believe that he failed his team. I believe his team failed him. If we take a look at his numbers in his rookie year with the Panthers, well, the team did go 2-14 in the 16 games he started. He had about a 59.8% completion percentage, 2,877 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. That's not the kind of ratio you want to see TD to interception wise. He was turning the ball over quite a big amount of times, but he did get sacked 62 times last year. You know, it would have been highest if Sam Howell didn't get sacked 65 times, but anyway, he ranks, 6th all-time in getting sacked in a single season, and that was just his rookie campaign. Bryce Young was taking a beating every time he stepped onto the football field last year, and there was nothing he could do about it. Could Bryce Young have performed better in better circumstances? Of course, and I do think that there is plenty of time for Bryce Young to still live up to his potential. But can he do it in Carolina? That is the question. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that it's extremely difficult for a rookie quarterback to succeed in the NFL when there's no stability. In his first year with the Panthers, Bryce Young went through 2 different head coaches. Originally, he had Frank Reich, and Frank Reich is a pretty notable name in the NFL. However, the Panthers went 1-10 under him. And of course, new Panthers owner David Tepper hates that kind of stuff. So then he fires him, brings in Chris Tabor as an interim manager, and the team goes 1-5 under him. And now, in his second season, Dave Canales is the new head coach for Bryce Young. His 3rd head coach in 2 years, if that's even the time frame you want to put it in. Honestly, you could say 16 months. He's had 3 different head coaches, and it wouldn't make sense. But we'll talk about more of that in a second. For right now, I wanted to remind you guys to slow down, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Every subscription goes a long way and is greatly appreciated. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so please subscribe. All right, now let's get back to talking about Bryce Young. You see, in 2024, like I said, he's now with Dave Canales, his 3rd head coach, and in his first matchup, he's going against the New Orleans Saints. The Saints aren't really supposed to be good, but they are a divisional rival, and they do have Derek Carr and a really good defense. And Bryce Young got one hell of a look at the defense, because they were coming after him time and time again. Got 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. Bryce Young only completed 13 of his 30 pass attempts and only got 161 yards in the air. It was absolute dominance by the Saints, which is why they ended up cruising to an easy 47-10 victory. And that big time loss is followed by an even worse outing against the Chargers in the second week, where Bryce Young and the team looked to bounce back. Maybe week 1 was just a fluke, really get it out of their system. Of course, they lost Derek Brown, but could this Panthers team turn it around, or would it be a repeat of the 2023 season? Spoiler alert, the Panthers weren't able to turn it around against the Chargers. The Chargers themselves have a new head coach in a Harbaugh brother, but of course, Harbaugh is going to be far better than Dave Canales. But anyway, Bryce Young goes out, his second start of the season, gets sacked twice, throws another interception, and only has 84 yards in the air. If you thought the offense looked rough in week 1 for the Panthers, well, you should have waited till week 2, because it somehow got worse. Yeah, they only managed to put up 3 points that week, and the Chargers cruised to a 26-3 victory, and those 2 performances were enough for Canales to call it quits, right, on Bryce Young. And Canales can kind of do this, considering the fact that he wasn't the head coach that drafted Bryce Young. No, that was the previous regime, and that regime was out of the door sooner than Bryce Young could even realize what was happening to him. And that's kind of how Bryce Young ends up as a backup only 18 starts into his NFL career, because the Panthers organization is in absolute shambles. And that's mostly because of new owner David Tepper. I've talked about this guy plenty of times throughout the years, right? I mean, he got the team in 2018. And since 2018, the Panthers have been through 7 different head coaches. And you've got to remember, the Panthers only have 10 head coaches in their history, and 7 of them have come since David Tepper bought the team 6 years ago. I mean, the numbers he's putting up are phenomenal. At this rate, you're looking at Dave Canales getting fired, I don't know, December, them getting an interim head coach, and maybe they get another head coach next year. Who knows what David Tepper is going to do? But what I'm telling you he should do is sell the team, because he is a terrible owner. But anyway, that's how the Panthers failed Bryce Young. There was no stability. They barely even gave him a shot or a real opportunity with any roster, because all of the offensive linemen that Bryce Young has had in his time with the Panthers have been dog shit. He gets absolutely no time in the pocket, and then when he does get time, who is he looking to pass it to? Deontay Johnson? Adam Thielen? Like, there's not really any weapons for him to use. They traded all of those weapons away during the rebuild. But like I said, that's about it for this video. Catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.